Wondering if your running form is actually making your knee pain worse? In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to fix your running form. We're going to go over common movement faults, how to identify these running form mistakes, and simple steps on how to fix your running form. Quick context, I'm Dr. Daniel, and over the past 4 years, I've helped over 500 marathoners get back to pain-free running without canceling their races. Just like Olivia, she was stuck with getting knee pain after starting every marathon build. In 12 weeks, we were able to eliminate her knee pain and get her to a sub 135 half marathon. Let's get into it. The 3 most common movement faults that I see with runners today are overstriding, foot crossover, and trunk lean. Before we get into specifics, we need to appreciate that when we run, each time we land, there's an equal and opposite force going straight back into our body. So it's more of a matter of where our foot is landing relative to our body rather than what specific part of the foot we're landing on. So this isn't a video encouraging you to do a midfoot strike, heel strike, or a certain spot of foot landing. It's a matter of keeping track of where our foot is relative to our body. If we can position our landing each time when we run more efficiently to distribute that force going into our body evenly and not just stressing out the knee, we're going to be more efficient and we're going to be able to run faster without knee pain. Overstriding. So this is going to be where you land a little bit farther away from your body. So I'm going to exaggerate a bit, but as we've spoken about, for each time we land, there's going to be an equal and opposite force straight into whatever pattern we land in. So if we're overstriding, it's just going to go straight into your knee. Not going to be uncomfortable regardless if you're landing on your midfoot or your heel. So ideally what we want to do is as we're running and we're landing closer to our body. Each time we land and we take a step, it's closer than this overstride. Foot crossover. So this is going to be when you're running and you're landing and your foot is literally crossing over. So I want you to picture that there's an imaginary line at midline, and each time you're running, you're essentially landing on it, landing on it. I refer to this as almost like you're running on a tightrope. You're landing on that same spot on each foot. And again, sticking with the same theme, each time you land, equal and opposite force, straight into the knee. So ideally when we're running, we want to avoid this imaginary line landing with our feet hip distance apart, each time distributing your weight evenly as you run. Trunk lean. So this can go both sides, whether you're leaning too far forward or you're too straight up. So the ideal position is a little bit forward. And we need to consider, where are we getting this trunk lean from? Because we can get this from our back or we can get this from our hips. If we position our hips more advantageously, we're going to be able to get a stronger push off and decrease the strain in our back and even our knees. So when you're running, we want a little bit of a trunk lean, maybe 10 to 15 degrees. We don't want to be too far forward, too far back. Running is sometimes referred to as a controlled free fall. So I want to imagine you're leaning forward, but you're not too far forward to where you're going to tip over. To identify what movement fault you need to correct, you don't need any fancy equipment. You could simply use your phone, or you can pay attention to where your body is while you're running. The easiest one to check is the trunk lean. Pay attention. When you get into that position to start to run, are you leaning forward with your back, or are you leaning forward with your hips? Is it too far forward, or are you straight up? That's the easiest one to correct right off the bat. Specifically for the other ones is, where is our foot positioned as we land? Is our feet landing on the same spot each time we land, or are we hip distance apart? When we're striding, are we constantly trying to catch up to our foot, or is our body and foot relatively landing in the same plane? These are simple ways that you can change your form, and we'll get into some of the exercises that'll help reinforce these keys. Let's talk about how to actually fix these movement faults. So for the first one, overstriding, this is typically due to a coordination thing. So we simply need to train ourselves to land a little bit closer to our body so that force isn't going straight up into that knee. So what I recommend is to practice bounding. So for bounding, I recommend to start with small hops. You're going to be jumping from one leg to the other. The main things to focus on is to land nice and softly, as well as landing closer into relation to our body. That way, our body can equally distribute the weight or the force going into us. So start with 3 sets of 15 on each leg. Progress the distance of the jump as you get more comfortable. Secondly, foot crossover. So again, this is when our foot is landing across midline. Typically, this is due to our proximal hip stability or our lateral glute muscles. So if we can train our hip to have more stability, it'll be able to control where we're landing more specifically. So what I recommend to start with are Captain Morgans. So for the Captain Morgan exercise, all you're gonna need is a ball and a wall. So what you're gonna do is get nice and close to the wall so you don't have to lean. You're gonna drive the knee closest to the wall upwards, and you're gonna press the ball into the wall. Once you have that position solidified, then we can drop into a little bit of a squat on that standing leg. This is one of the best exercises for runners because it really targets that lateral hip stability that we need for running, and we're able to work on both legs at the same time. So the key for this is really to work on that knee driving into the wall. Try to avoid leaning with your trunk or even with your hip. Really hinge into that squat on that standing leg and feel that muscle burn on both hips. So try to start with 3 sets of 30-second holds and progress the time from there. Lastly, trunk lean. This can be the easiest, but sometimes the hardest to correct. This is more of a movement pattern that we need to reintroduce. So instead of leaning forward with our upper body or our trunk, we want to cause that trunk lean from our hips. So we need to teach ourselves on how to hip hinge. So for this specific program, I recommend RDLs. Hip hinging is where we bring our trunk forward without flexing our spine or our back. So we're going to specifically target our hips. The RDLs really target this hip hinging and allow us to recreate this movement while we run. So we're going to start off with a double leg RDL. We don't need to start with any weight. This is simply teaching us how to get that trunk lean through our hips. Once that double leg RDL feels good, then we're going to go into a kickstand RDL, where we can bias a little bit more of one side. Once that feels good, we're going to get into the single leg RDL, which I feel is the most beneficial. Starting on one leg, hinging from one hip, going as far forward as you can, really getting all of that control from that hip. You want to go as far down as you can without flexing your spine. Start with 2 sets of 15, and we'll progress with weight from there. If you found value in this, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. If you want an expert to specifically look at your running gait, book a call in the link below, and we'll talk about how we can get you back to running without pain.